Hi dears, now we are going to start the summary of chapter number 7. What is chapter number 7? Chapter number 7 is completion and review. This chapter has totally 6 essays. Remaining essays of 500 series, 3 essays, 560, 570, 580 and 260, 265 and 450. So let's start. Yes. So chapter number 7, which is audit, completion and review. The weightage as per ICI, it is around 8 to 12 percentage. Okay. And as we already said, there are totally 6 standards in this chapter. Now, starting with essay 560, essay 560 is regarding subsequent events. When you hear subsequent events, we have to connect it with AS4. As per AS4, we have events occurring after balance sheet date, adjusting, non-adjusting. Here, it is subsequent events. What is subsequent events? Any events which is happening after the FS date and audit report date. Not only that, it also includes the facts that become known after which date? After audit report date also. Now, with respect to this fact, between FS date and audit report date, what auditor will do? Obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence whether it has been properly adjusted or disclosed where in FS as per AFRF. Now, in respect of facts that become known after the audit report, auditor has to respond appropriately. Now, in this response, there are two timelines. What are those two timelines? One, the facts that become known after report, but before it is issued. Now, after it is issued. Issued to whom? Members. So, of course, both these cases you will discuss with management. You will see if FS has to be revised. If FS has to be revised, you will issue amended report. If not, you will take appropriate action. So there are a lot of other points I'm not going into. Now, there are two types of subsequent events as per SP 560, which is even those existing events or condition which is existing as on the FS date and those arose or occurred after the FS date. Okay. Now, finally, as an auditor, how auditor will identify the subsequent event? Basically, management has to identify and they have to reflect in FS. As an auditor, we have to perform our procedure to identify, right? There are 5 procedures. First, inquiry, obtain writing, written representation, essay 580, read the minutes book of meeting, read the interim FS, and understand the procedures performed by management. So these are the audit procedures performed to identify subsequent events. So that's essay 560, which is nothing but subsequent events. Now going to essay 570. What is 570? 570 references there in CARO clause number 19. And also in audit report, there is an element regarding MUNGC, material uncertainty ongoing concern, the 5th element, title, addressee, opinion, basis for opinion, material uncertainty ongoing concern. The 5th element in audit report. So what is going concern? Going concern is a fundamental accounting assumption that company will continue its operations in foreseeable future. Foreseeable future means not less than 12 months, the entity will continue. Generally, FS are prepared using going concern. Exceptions are there where it is prepared based on realization or liquidation basis. Like intends to wind up or there is no realistic alternative. Then, responsibility of preparing the FS as per going concern rests with the management. They have to do two things. One, they have to assess the going concern. Second, they have to make the judgment. As an auditor, what is your responsibility? One, due to inherent limitations of audit. Illa SA 200. Future events unpredictable. We can't give any guarantee. Second, auditor should remain alert. Third, we have to see assumptions of management and whether future plans feasible, whether it is feasible. Now, there are certain indicators of going concern, like financial indicators, operational indicators, other indicators. Now, as an auditor, your objective is 3 points. One, obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence whether going concern is appropriate. Appropriate, appropriate, appropriate. Okay. Second, based on events and condition, whether there is any material uncertainty that may cast a significant doubt on going concern. If so, what will you do? You will report. Now, from here, the route will go to reporting. So, if there is some issues in going concern, there are cases where you will give adverse opinion, qualified opinion, or there are cases where you will include material uncertainty on going concern para. So from here, reporting requirement, it will go to SA 700 series. So here, one of the very important point is you will add material uncertainty on going concern, which is a separate para, as we said, the fifth element in audit report. When going concern is inappropriate, it is disclosed also, then this paragraph is. Now, what if management is unwilling to assess going concern? You will ask them to assess. If it is less than 12 months, what will you do? You will ask them to extend. If they don't assess going concern, who? Management. We have to modify if we can't perform alternative procedures. So to conclude, auditor's responsibility of going concern is first, whether going concern is appropriate. Management use of going concern appropriate. Second, he has to perform audit procedures additionally when events and conditions are identified. You have to obtain written representation from management, SA 580. And finally, you have to see whether future plans is appropriate. So we can call it as audit procedures also. That's auditor's procedure. Management use of going concern appropriate in financials preparation. He has to perform additional procedure when events and conditions are identified, obtain written representation, and future plans appropriate. So that's SA 570, going concern. Now going to SA 580, which is nothing but written representation. What is written representation? It is a written statement provided by management or TCWG to the auditor. This written representation does not include FS, records, documents, etc. All these are part of evidence as per SA 500. Written representation. Okay, as far as practicable possible, obtain near audit report date. Written representation at times, it can be given by using qualifying language. Qualifying language meaning subject to. They can give it in qualifying language also at times. Auditor may accept provided he is satisfied regarding its reasonableness. Now, written representation should be in written form, as the name suggests, and addressed to auditor. Now, what are the contents of written representation? Contents is mainly regarding management responsibility. They have prepared the financial as per AFRS, provided to the auditor the information, completeness, and all other information. Now, what if management refuses to provide written representation? If management refuses, what you will do? You'll communicate with TCWG. You will re-evaluate management's integrity. And finally, you will analyze its impact on the opinion. You may need to give a what opinion? Modified opinion, qualified or disclaimer as per essay 7 not. And you have to ascertain whether written representation is reliable also. You have to check its reliability. So written representation is not a substitute, it's only a corroborative, additional, supporting. So one more sentence is there. At times, even absence of audit evidence will constitute audit evidence. So refusal by management to provide written representation also constitute audit evidence. Same thing we have learned in essay 500. So that's it, guys. 560 subsequent events, 570 going concern, 580 written representation. So that's over. Now moving on to the next three. 260 and 265. Let's study this by comparing. These two together we are going to summarize. Now, essay 260 and essay 265. What is the similarity and what is the difference between these two? Both these cases, it is regarding communication. All right, it is regarding communication. Okay, by whom? Auditor. To whom? Management. Okay, to whom I will keep away. Okay, by communication by auditor. Now, what is the difference? In 260, the name is communication with TCWG, whereas 265 is communication with TCWG and management. 260, what will you communicate? You will communicate any significant matter. From 260 only 701 key audit matter arises. 265, you will be communicating deficiencies in internal control. You perform test of control to evaluate deficiencies, and if so, you will communicate with management TCWG. Then, 260 is said to be more of general communication. Why? Because any general significant matter, whereas this is said to be more specific. Why? Only deficiencies in. Now here you will communicate through a mode which is called as letter of weakness. It's a written communication by auditor to management TCWG. In this letter of weakness, you will say what is the deficiency, potential effect of deficiency, and then important, you will say you are not going to express opinion on IC, not expressing any opinion on IC. You are only going to express opinion on financial statements, and you will give your suggestion. So mark it, guys, we are not going to express opinion on internal control. Now, why management and TCWG? Significant internal control deficiencies to TCWG, whereas management, you will communicate other deficiencies. Now here, essay 260, any significant matters, where you will communicate auditor's responsibility, audit's plan, scope and timing, other significant matters, like written representation requested, not obtained, difficulties encountered, audit report form and content. Now, in case of listed entities, you have to communicate compliance with independence, threats, safeguard. So, to conclude, essay 260, the name is communicating with TCWG, and 265, communicating deficiencies in internal control with the TCWG and management. Now going to the last essay, which is essay 450. Now what is essay 450? Evaluation. Evaluation. Evaluation of what? Misstatement identified during the audit. So here there is a flow. What is the flow actually? First you will accumulate the misstatements identified unless trivial, least important. Now you will consider its impact on audit progress, how it affects the audit, materiality, whether it has to be revised, planning program. Then you will see whether it has to be communicated with management. Once it is communicated, whether it is corrected. If it is uncorrected, you will ask the management the reasons and see the impact. Then you will communicate with TCWG. Then you have to see uh, if TCWG says it is immaterial, then you will ask them, you said immaterial, give us in writing. You will obtain a written representation. If they say immaterial, and don't forget to document the document. Let's say 230. Now here you are concerned with both identified misstatement and uncorrected misstatement. Uncorrected misstatement you will modify. So basically, misstatement means it's a difference between the matters as per AFRF and the matters as per books, meaning. So SA 450 will mainly apply in case of evaluation. In 315, you will identify and assess risk. 330, you will respond, and 450, you are evaluate. So guys, that's the summary of chapter number 7, which is audit completion and review. So that's another easy chapter, and there are 6 essays. Do it well. All the very best.